Hello, and welcome back to another Pen Talk. Thank you for tuning in and joining me as I enjoy exploring the amazing wide world of pens. And we have two interesting examples in front of us. Yes, I'm still evaluating the many pens I ordered from Temu many months ago, last year. And these two have not been looked at in any detail. So let's look at this shiny, colorful one first. Shiny is definitely a word. Finger magnet is definitely a descriptive term that you could use. But the gradations of colors and the way it's put together is interesting. There's this white thing inside of there. I wonder what that is. Pop-off cap is one we would expect, but sorry to disappoint, it's not a fountain pen, it's a pencil. A very big piece of graphite there at the end. And if we unscrew the section, we'll see that white thing is an eraser. Interesting design, interesting piece of colorful writing instrument. But we're going to look at the actual fountain pen here. And yes, it's a Jinhao. Interesting clip, very functional, springy. Your usual hole at the other end. Pop-off cap, and we'll see interesting nib, which I've replaced, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Yes, it's inked up. Just a regular cartridge converter in there. So we'll see how that new nib writes. And this pen is, as you would expect from the design, very comfortable. And those facets in the triangular design are very rounded and kind of subtle, so I don't mind them as much as I do on the Lamy Safari. And it posts very well, very securely. Doesn't change the balance. It's a light pen. So as an engineer, I like taking things apart and hopefully putting them back together again and understanding more about how things are made and how things work. So this is just a plain cap. There's a liner inside, which is what is used to snap to the bottom of that section. And of course, pulling it out is a little bit difficult. So that's an extra fine nib. It's an extra fine, and it's very visible there. But pulling it out is not the easiest thing to do. So you may ask, what can you do? Well, let's look into that. One of the essential tools in working on vintage pens is a knockout block. And it comes with a bunch of different knockout pins, but if you look at the back of the section, you'll see there's a very small opening there where the feed fits into that section. And this steel rod fits just right, and you can knock out the feed with some force. And yes, you may ask, what tools do you use? Well, I use a hammer. I always wondered what tools you might need. I collect things. And there we go. It pops right out. And now we can exchange this fine nib for one of our choosing. I could have tried to slip the feed out and just slip the nib off the feed, but yeah, I like using my tools. So we're going to replace the extra fine Jinhao nib in the pen with one of the many. I got to pick one. I collect nibs when I see nibs for sale, and they're generally a few dollars each, especially this simplistic style that Lamy has made popular. I buy some, but let's look at the nib I select. So I'm in the mood for a stub, and I prefer the 1.1 to the 1.5. I just think it's a more usable line. This one is obviously wider by about 50%. And these are the Lamba 2 nibs. Again, I bought a bunch of them. So we're going to put this 1.1 into a new feed and put it in to the Jinhao pen. So I also collect feeds. So this style of feed to accommodate this small nib is pretty consistent. We'll see on the other side there's this extension that hopefully makes you align the nib properly, because many of the sections in this styles of pens are triangular, so you want the nib to be in one particular spot. And as we take a look at the nib that I've selected, everything's been thoroughly washed and cleaned and rinsed. We'll see the nib just fits right over those two edges of the feed, and it slips right into place, and this will slip right into that section. And we now have a much different nib than the extra fine. So we talked about the nib being orientated correctly to work with this triangular section. You'll see there's a groove there with two ledges on it, and you'll see there's a little extension there on the feed, and that's where it fits in just right. Slides in place, and voila, we're ready to ink it up. And I'm getting excited. So this is the ink I chose. I think it'll do well. And one thing that I'm impressed about, number one, this is a great bottle. Really like the way that it looks. But it comes with this insert, very elastic insert that really seals. That ink is never going to dry out, and as you notice, the cap has no ink in it. I like the chariot emblem there on the top of the cap, and I ordered 2 more Jinhao inks from Temu. I'm hopefully looking forward to trying them out. So I think this nib works really well in the pen. The Jinhao green ink is not the most saturated ink, but I just think it's a nice color. And it has some nice variations to it. And the nib is on the dry side, a little bit drier than I had originally expected it to be. So let's take a look more closely at some of the writing. Yeah, I like the line. It's a very easy pen to write with. Fun. This is a quick video, a quick look at a pen. I don't find it anymore on any of the selling platforms that I searched for. But, you know, it's a Jinhao pen. It's the lower end pen, you know, kind of in that shark category or the 599 category. You know, Jinhao's been making pens like this for a while. This does have some interesting design traits, you know, the 6-sided cap and barrel, you know, the perforated clip, and it was inexpensive when it was available. So with that, we're going to reach the end of this video. I hope it finds everyone safe, healthy, and happy. Finding some fun pens for you to try and write with and explore and maybe expand your collection. So we've reached the end, and we will say bye.